Let me see if I can get her. She's very bored. Very, very bored with, very bored with this. This is my dog Mickey. And about a week ago, she stopped jumping, and it was really upset me because, well, she's very active. In fact, one of my complaints always about her was that why didn't I thought I was getting a lap dog, and I wound up with a dog who loves. I'm sorry, moving around here. Constant attention and constant motion. Now, I'm not adverse to this. I myself, I'm very happy to have a dog that needs to be taken out, and um, there were a lot of pluses. However, the negatives with it, she really was very, very demanding, and I didn't. Again, I thought I was getting a lap dog. I've had her about 8 years, and she was an estimated 2.5 years when I got her. Anyway, um, but I didn't panic because, like about a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier, she had a very sensitive hip thing, and within a day, she was fine. So I couldn't figure out. I thought, well, maybe arthritis, maybe this, maybe that. But then a neighbor said, well, maybe she was bitten by a bug. So I went, okay, because she was fine. And then she couldn't jump up on the bed. And I don't know, I just sort of watched her for a day, and I went, something's wrong with this dog. And I got to find out what it is. So I called Dr. Gabriel. He's a young guy who's real, real smart. And he had done her teeth a few months ago. And so I took her in. Okay, so I was really worried. I really went, the thing about a young dog is they're supposed to outlive older dogs. That was on my mind because I'd had an older dog who I had to euthanize, and it was very horrible for me and not so great for the dog when she was 12. So Mickey's only like, going on 10. Anyway, these are the things, if you have a dog, you know what I'm talking about. So I get to Dr. Gabrielle, and he examines her and says, oh, you see this? And how she tenses when I touch here. He said, I think she needs x-rays. And I went, okay, x-rays. Do the x-rays. That could be done while I was waiting. Now, here's the thing about Mexico, and it was a major reason I had moved to Mexico was, I think it was almost 14 years ago, that my older dog was getting issues every month, all the time, bladder infections, and she snorted a foxtail and required surgery, and they weren't sure they got it all, and I know in the end that they didn't get it all, but anyway, so it was running around $150 a month, and that was tidy for the United States on top of, that was my electric bill, and everything is more expensive there. And I'd always, I'd gone to Mexico lots and lots of times to get, Botox from my forehead and stuff like that. I wouldn't do Botox anymore, by the way. If you're out there, don't do Botox. But, little things to keep me looking decent in my old age. So, anyway, the x-ray showed that she had osteoarthritis of the spine. So she was in pain. But it was early on, and he felt that with drugs and I don't know what else, it could be slowed down. Chondroitin, glucosamine, and painkillers. Of course, painkillers meant that she wasn't going to be very active, and well, I had always wanted a less active dog. This wasn't the way I wanted it. Got to be careful what you wish for. And he also referred me to a physical therapist for my dog. I'm going to say, oh my God, we've come a long way. But I did give her, I did call the other doctor, but not right away. I did give her drugs the next day, the painkillers, and she was like a slug. But I thought, okay, and I looked up this is the other thing I did, which I had never done with my other dog, and well, partly was because 14 years ago we didn't really have the access we have now to information, but I didn't even think to do it. I just thought the vets knew what they were doing. I thought the vets knew what they were doing, and you know what? They didn't. They didn't. They recommended very bad food for her that I only found out after she was dead. That dogs can't. They can't digest corn, and neither can cows, which is why they have to open them up and pull the corn out that they feed them. So I looked up all the meds, and one of them was what they call NSAIDs or NISAIDs. It's like ibuprofen, and I always myself, I've used ibuprofen once or twice in my life. I went, oh my God, it hurt my stomach, put me to sleep. I hated it. But I mean, aspirin, I could do aspirin. But if you have an ongoing issue, I understand. I've known humans with arthritis, and I know it could be just hideously painful, hideously painful. And at a certain point, when you're in pain, you start to do, I don't care, just, give me heroin. You just want to get out of pain. I understand that. But I didn't like it in terms of what I knew about it for humans. And another drug called Pergolin, which I don't really understand at all. And that I was supposed to give her 20 milligrams of that a day, and the other I was supposed to give her, I don't know, 3/4 of the something or other. And also glucosamine. And glucosamine and conjugatin. And that med was more expensive than my statins and blood pressure lowering medications. But she's my little doggy, and I had sworn to her from the beginning, even though we've had our disagreement. We're very incompatible, quite frankly, but we've worked it out over the years, that I would always provide for her and take good care of her, no matter what. So after a couple of days, I began to cut down on the meds and just watch her, make sure that she wasn't in pain. So we did get to have an appointment finally with Dr. Evelyn, and she was just amazing. She was just amazing. She showed me how to give her a massage. She was amazing, first of all, because she knows Dr. Gabrielle. She was able to get a hold of the x-rays. X-rays here, by the way, just to give you a comparison, it was 800 pesos, which is around $42 on today's currency exchange for 3 x-rays. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? In fact, the entire doctor's visit, including medicine, including 10 days worth of meds, because we were experimenting, was like 3,100 pesos. So around, I noticed when I got the bill, was around $165 United States. I can't even begin to imagine what x-rays and meds and a consult, and I was there for 2 hours. Yeah, so I feel really very fortunate I can afford to do this. Okay, so she showed me how to give the dog a massage. We also agreed that we could go just with the Pergolin and drop the NSAIDs. I don't know how you say that, but the ibuprofen. And we keep up the vitamins and also change her diet. And I'd already begun to do that. I'd already added broccoli back into her kibble, but she is not a fan of kibble, and neither am I. But I was always concerned if you cook for a dog, because they say, oh, they're not getting the vitamins and minerals they get from kibble, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, yeah, well, we can give her vitamins. So I went, oh, because that's what I do. Because that's my diet. I don't eat any meat. I haven't eaten meat since probably before you were born. 1992 is what I remember. But I do eat fish, and I eat some portion of fish every single day, either fresh or canned, and vegetables. And fruits, and I have a really terrific diet, and every once in a while I allow myself a couple of cookies. And that's because I had cardio, what do they used to call it? Hardening of the arteries, we used to call it. But now my LDLs are very low, and that's what we want. We want to keep them under 60 for somebody my age. We all know I'm like pushing 85 next month. So I was not adverse to this at all, and so I was really glad about that. And she had some other ideas, and actually she's going to send me more information. So she gave the dog a laser treatment, and since I had laser treatments on my gums years ago, I knew that could be very tiring. It doesn't hurt you when it's happening, but I knew later the dog could be tired and hurt. So that's where we are. I was, as I've said earlier, very surprised because she's small. She always seems like a puppy to me, and because her fur is white, I never saw any whitening around the muzzle. So, yeah, it drew me up short. I was kind of beat up emotionally for a couple of days. This dealing with everybody, end of life for the dog. I don't know, somehow it seems harder than dealing with your own end of life preparations. But she's doing well, and we do think she could actually live quite a bit longer. It's in the early stages. I'm not going to drug her so she doesn't know where she is. And I thought I would share that with you. And oh, by the way, the next day I went to see my hairdresser. Only somebody who's brought up a Catholic, I'm not active anymore, knows this. I had all my hair cut off. I'm lucky I didn't get bald. You'll understand if you've ever been Catholic. Bye, thank you.